Good evening and welcome to All for United WFC. It's the Ben and Matt Saturday Night Live. How are we, Matt?
A bit sunburnt, lad.
Tell me.
I feel like Anthony. My face matches my top. Oh no, I'm all good, pal. Do you know what? It was one of them. I went out at 9 o'clock, and I thought, it'll be sound. Won't be too hot. My God, underestimated it a bit. I should have took a hat, but hey ho. But yes.
Hey, look who's on time today, John Foster. Hey. I hope you're well, John. I hope you're well, mate.
But how are you anyway, pal? Have you been keeping?
All right, mate. All right. Just a bit of a sore arm because I've had my first jab today, for the old COVID bollocks, So
yeah,
anything to get me back to that football ground. Anthony's banner has already started. Yes, Stu Woolley. How are you, pal? Hope you're well, mate. And Robert. Of course, evening, Robert. I hope you're well as well, mate. Thank you for everybody for joining us so far tonight. I'm just going to crack straight on with this because I'm going to read a statement out in a minute, just in case anybody hasn't seen it or hasn't read it yet. A group of fans representatives from the Barmy Army went to a meeting with John Murtough a couple of days ago. And at this meeting, they was asking him a couple of questions, well, more than a couple of questions. But what I want to read the statement now anyway. So it said, at a meeting with representatives of Manchester United Women's Fan Group, football director John Murtough and other senior leaders discussed recent events, providing an update on future plans. The pandemic created challenges over the last year across football and across the club in terms of mandatory protocols around training and games. A combination of these factors, together with the impact of adverse winter weather conditions on the pitches, affected the usual training locations and schedules for the women's team at Leeds Sports Village. As a result, after considering options, the team relocated to the Aon training complex. This required flexibility across the club in terms of use of facilities and COVID-19 protocols. Going forward, the club will introduce a package of improvements for the women's team facilities at the Aon training complex, starting over this summer. Long-term, Joel Glazer recently referenced that the club will significantly increase investment in Old Trafford and our training complex to ensure the facilities remain among the best in Europe. The long-term intention is for a fully integrated approach of the training ground, the women's team, men's team, and academy at one site. Since the initial investment to the start of the women's team in 2018, the club has continued with significant backing year on year to help the team progress, including extensive on the pitch and off the pitch recruitment. Casey has been involved in player recruitment for this summer, and that process continues, led by John Murtough himself. Evidence of progression is clear from our formation as a team in the Women's Championship in 2018-19 to a fourth-place finish in the Super League for 2019-20. Through to challenging for the UEFA Champions League qualification this season. The club is actively involved in recruitment for a new women's manager following Case's departure and looks forward to next season with optimism. What do you make of that then, Matt? Do you think it's all a load of old horse shit, or we actually believe in a word of that? Because I didn't believe a word of what fucking Joel Glazer said to the fans forum the other day. What do you make of that statement?
I mean, I'm like you, mate. I noticed you tweeted the other day about actions over words, and I completely agree. I think I've always said that with anything that comes out of people's mouth. But listen, it sounds all right, doesn't it? And I'm going to say all right because I'm not going to get too hyped. But assuming everything's followed through, it's a start, isn't it? But I'm not holding my breath. Listen, I think the communication needed to come out. There needed to be some communication from the club because there's been a lot of, what shall we say, a lot of up and downs, especially with the women's team in the past few months. And I think that's putting it very mildly and politely, to be honest. But yeah, I think, listen, I obviously, I mean, you were there as well. We had a chat with John out in Norway, didn't we, in pre-season? And to be fair, it comes across as reasonable, no reason to sort of doubt him back then. Probably still none now, but I think that the thing what worries me now is obviously he's gone over to the men's side as well. And now I'm just thinking he's just another puppet, isn't it, to be sort of toyed with. So yeah, I think until we see some action, it sounds good, but it's not anything for me at the minute. I want to see some action. They say, well, we're going to make it this and we're going to make it that, and we're going to fund here, and obviously things have gone wayward in terms of the training ground. And listen, we get that, but at the end of the day, they could have sent their own staff down to Leeds to cover pitches. I get that it's frozen and things were, difficult over winter, absolutely. But then we decided to go indoors on 3G, which caused a load of injuries at the Cliff. So it's like, I think that it's always down to money, isn't it? Because the thing is, the league ground staff aren't full-time and they don't work on the training pitches. It's not their responsibility. They don't get paid for it. So that's fine, fair enough. But put your hands in your pockets. They've got them heaters for the pitch. We can either send some spares from Old Trafford down, or we can, send ground staff down to cover the pitch with them little tent bubble things, like you see in the FA Cup over winter with the non-league teams. They managed to get it on and do it that way, and pay people if that was the issue at the time. But yeah, like you said, it has created a little bit of sort of upheaval with everything going on. Totally get that. We're not stupid as fans, but at the same time, it's a bit of a cop-out because, to be fair, there's ways around it. Everybody else has managed. Every other football club's managed. We've managed at, semi-pro level what I sort of do and work in. So, yeah, it's one of them, until we see something. And that's starting off by giving whoever comes in manager-wise a decent and competitive transfer budget and sorting out the state of not only the women's side but the men's, then I'll be a little bit happier. The sooner we see the actions, the better for me.
Absolutely, mate. And I stick by what I say, though. And I think John Fry also said it in the comments there. Actions do speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And to be fair, mate, I've got nothing against this John Murtough. We don't know him. I think Natalie knows him better than any of us.
Yeah.
But we have spoken to him in the past, and he does seem like a reasonable guy. It's got his head screwed on that wants the best for this women's side, as well as Manchester United in a whole. But I really do hope that the words are true. That they want to integrate the all the sides together at the Aon training complex. That the men's team, the academy, and the women's side, have them all under one roof. And I think it'll really, really show that potential players coming in. Maybe not this summer because it'd probably be too soon, but in the next future windows, that we are serious about this women's side, that we're integrating it with the men's, that everything is all equal, all red. Like we always see the tweets, all equal, all red. All red, all equal, whichever way around it is. I can't remember, but to show that we actually stand by that and stick by that statement, and I think it's sort of made me a little bit happier, knowing that that they've realised they've held their hands about the training facilities, and they should have done better, but this should have been sorted ages ago. I still stand by that as well. What else do you take away from that then, mate? Do you think Joel? Do you think Joel is serious about the women's side? Do you think it? Because I get the impression that even in the men's side, I still don't get the impression he really cares, mate.
No.
Does he? To be fair though, for this women's side to be successful, does Joel Glazer really need to? Does he really need to care about the side, or do you think having John Murtough is enough for us?
I worry that, I think, like no problem with John. And, we had a few concerns in Norway and he spoke to us, after the game about those. And like I say, fair play. I think the concern is more with Joel. I think, it's the fact that I think he's just there. They live in America. They probably don't have a Scooby-Doo what's going on. The communication won't be great because it's shocking throughout the club as a whole. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it leaves us. I don't know where it goes. I mean, like I say, it's great that they've come out with it, and they're saying, oh, well, we need this and we need that. But, I think what we've got is, we've got that John's trying his best and his sort of hands are slightly tied a little bit. And, and he's, like you said, he's a reasonable person, and I think he does genuinely care and he does it's not like he doesn't turn up. He's at every women's game, especially at Lee. And I've seen him at away games as well, so it's not like he's just kind of saying this and not backing it up. He's there and he genuinely cares. Now, obviously, the same can't be said for other people, other directors and other people that are making, the calls and calling the shots. So, I mean, yeah, it's one of them. I'd like to think so, but this is it's going into season 4 now. Do you know what I mean? This should have come about at least when we got promoted from the WSL. We had sort of the abomination of the championship, didn't we? And sort of muddled through that. I mean, listen, that wasn't really our doing. That was other clubs, but still, we upped the game. And yeah, I don't know. I'd just like to see a little bit more, like you said, a little bit quicker. It's all well and good saying, oh, well, COVID this and COVID that. We can all throw that excuse. But it's just even smaller things, that could have been sorted out that weren't. You talked about training. We had a 2-week break over Christmas. The men's team don't have a break. So on the women's side and the people running it, we've had 2 weeks to sort ourselves out and we've not done anything. And then, like I said, plastic training pitch. We've had a whole host of injuries. We've had to move again. And it's just been an absolute shit show, if I'm honest. But, let's see now. Let's see what happens going forward. Transfer window's open next Friday, I think. Next Friday, the 11th. So that should start the ball rolling. The men's have obviously announced the release list. So I'm expecting the women's. I'm expecting to hear something this week. Maybe not. Could be wrong on that. But yeah, I'm expecting, like I say, I think things get rolling now. Let's get things in place. Let's get, pre-season done or sorted out, get going with that and see what happens. I think, once the new manager is in place, I think the signings that new manager makes, that will be their own signings, will be very telling as to whether we've invested or not and whether people have stuck to the word. Are we missing out on players because we can't afford wages, so they tell us, or we won't chuck money at it. So it's going to be interesting going forward. And like I said, I'm expecting sort of, the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to, really see some wheels in motion. But time will tell. We could probably come back in 3-4 weeks' time or at the start of July and have a similar conversation and sort of be, looking back at the show and saying, well, actually, they said this and nothing's happened. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, if transfers tell the story, then we'll have a good idea of whether it's just words or whether actually, hearing this sort of be dealt with and something come of it.
On transfers, this is a huge debate again whether we should be signing players out of manager. I feel confident with John Murtough around, overseeing transfers, if as opposed to maybe I don't know, one of the coaches or something. If they just went, oh, is it Martin Hoy? Is it what's our assistant manager's name? I can never pronounce it right.
Yeah, Martin Ho.
Martin Ho. I don't know why I call him Hoey, whatever. But anyway, Martin Ho. I feel confident that John Murtough's in there, and they're not gone. Martin Ho, you do the transfers. You'll be all right, lad. So I'm glad he's personally overseeing the transfers because it needs somebody of a strong character in there, or in a high position there, to oversee transfers. I think so. I know we touched upon it last week, but are you still in the camp there? We should be signing players as soon as we can sign players with a man, regardless of having a manager or not.
Absolutely, yeah. I stick by what I talked about last week and the week before. Listen, other clubs are doing it. At the end of the day, you sort of mentioned about Martin maybe not doing it. I think they'll seek his advice 100%. There's a scouting department in place. John's not going to be doing it alone. He will say, and listen, Martin will know players because he's worked, obviously he was at Everton and he's worked in men's academies. So he's been around in general. So he'll know a good player when he sees one. But in terms of, the women's game, they'll seek his advice. He'll probably have sat in on plans with Casey anyway, and then obviously you've got, your other people involved in the, like I say, the scouting and analysis department. You're not telling me that John's not going to go to them, but in terms of without a manager, absolutely. At the end of the day, manager or head coach or whatever you want to call them are coming in and working with the players that, like I said last time, that are in place or that are due to arrive, that have signed the pre-contracts. So listen, there's no excuse. If people are saying, oh, well, they shouldn't be signing people, then, if that's an issue for a manager coming in, the manager's not the right person. because you're not telling me you come in and you say, oh, I don't want to work with this player, that player. You know, a good manager should be able to work with players that have got quality players that are coming in, players that the club have, you know, obviously deemed good enough to play for Man United. Now, if that's not the case, like I say, you're not the right person. You know, we need to be improving. We can't just sit back and let transfer targets go and then be flapping at the end of June, July, thinking, oh God, well, I've missed out on 3-4 targets there. They've gone here, they've gone there, and then rock up to pre-season with 12 players and some mediocre cast-offs that nobody wants to sign. Looking in the comments now, Stu, do you need first-team players or squad growth players? A little bit of both. I think for me, first-team players first and foremost, because I think obviously we've heard sort of 8 to 10 going out, haven't we? So if that's the case, they need replacing. You know, we always talk a lot as fans about 2 players for each position. I think we need to bring in quality. And I mentioned on Twitter, I think it was the start of the week, conversation with Vix, and there was about 4 or 5 of us, and we were sort of saying, you know, we probably need 8 to 10 in, if that's how many's going out. And I think I was of the opinion that we'll probably bring in 5 experienced and then maybe 4 or 5 younger with potential. So in terms of that kind of covers the sort of the growth, if you like, players with potential. But we definitely need something. Like I say, I'm not fussed if a manager's not in place. You know, for all we know, a manager will have, you know, been sounded out a couple of months ago when she was going to walk, or at least a couple of managers. You know, the club aren't going to have sat there. Plans are in place. We read from the statement, didn't we, for John Murtough? You know, he said recruitment is underway. I'm definitely believing. I think interviews will have taken place. I mean, I'm not 100%, but I believe they will have done. You know, we're talking players back in pre-season in a month. So things should be clicking into place. And I think, you know, this will be part of that. I see Robert Sir bigging up Nikita Paris. split fan base on that.
Yeah, that's why I left it on the screen.
Fan base on Beth Mead.
That fan base, isn't it?
Well, Beth Mead and Oshuala as well. So there's a split between them 3. Some say yes, some say no. But I mean, like John says there, you know, no good waiting for a new manager when it could be too late. This is the thing. Sorry, John Foster. But yeah, again, John Fry, you know, new manager.
Yeah, I want to bring it back to John Fry. I was going to bring it back to John Foster after that, but he's saying it needs to be in place in 2 weeks' time max to get the squad sorted for the new season. Do you think 2 weeks max, or would you wait? Would you be prepared to wait a little bit longer?
The thing, personally, from my sort of thoughts, I wouldn't be putting a time frame on it just because, you know, I wouldn't want it rushed. Because like I say, listen, I think, you know, interviews will have been at least taking place, but I wouldn't, like I say, I wouldn't want to rush it. I'd want somebody to be ready and right. You know, there's been different talks on managers. You know, there's been a couple mentioned that I know we'll probably move on to later on in the show. But I think for me, you know, I get the urge and I get the need to obviously get it boxed off and get in position for pre-season. Absolutely. But let's not forget the season ended, 3 weeks ago? 2.5 weeks ago, 16th of May. So coming up, 3 weeks tomorrow, actually. So, you know, it's for me, it's pressing, but it's not, do you know what I mean? I'm not panicking because I'm thinking, well, you know, we finished 3 weeks ago. And we've got another 4 till pre-season. So obviously, you know, yes, pre-season needs, you know, doing and sorting, planning, get your style of playing and things like that and your recruitment. But I think, listen, things should, like I say, in the next 2-3 weeks slowly click into place. I can see the comments already. Oshuala and Paris.
I'll go back to Nats for a minute. Yeah, Oshuala and Paris. And then I don't think John Fry rates either. I don't think John Fry rates Paris as well.
Do you know what? I'll not go too much into it because I say enough on Twitter and everybody knows my thoughts if they read my tweets. But I just
a couple of people moved to Nigo though. That's one we haven't mentioned before. Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, go on. No, we'll talk on Beth because I'm not a fan of Beth either. So we'll chuck that out.
Oh,
I don't think she's, again, it divides opinion. For me, she's just not good enough for what we need. You know, I'd rate Hansen better. You know, Hansen's had a better season. Beth, I tell you, when I saw Beth, she was at Sunderland and she played centre forward. She's played wide for Arsenal and she's no good wide for me. Central, but then I'd want Alessia as the number 9 central, who's miles better than Mead. So do you know what I mean? I just think there's no point in bringing in and wasting money for the sake of it. John says Suziak thinks Mead will leave. Good, she can go to Everton or something like that or whatever else wants, a City or something. But no, just like I say, I think she's been obviously played out of position, fair enough. But at the end of the day, you're still getting game time. And listen, I'm just a goals this year. I think it was like 4, 5, 6 goals and 6, 7 assists. So it's no better than Hansen. And I'd rather Hansen. She's similar age, a little bit younger. Susie thinks Australia is better than Paris. Fair enough. But no, I think on the Mead debate, like I say, I'd rather stick with Hansen and then go for somebody young. We've got the likes of, let's say we're looking at even Navarro. Obviously she can play wide. She can be central. There's plenty of people. Paris can play wide right. Well, that's where she is. That's where she should be playing. She can play central, but she's better out on the wider players. But yeah, like I say, just not for me. And like I say, it's again, I've seen people absolutely slate her. I've been quite mild, I think. But it's one of them. Never rated her for England either, to be fair, or Tony Duggan. Thank God the news is out now about Duggan going to Everton, so that can kill that rumour that people have been begging for her to come to United. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. See what we get. But I think at the minute we need to sort of get the defence sorted for me. I've been banging on, like I say, since December about Alana Kennedy. I know she was mentioned yesterday by Ben on John's Friday Forum.
She was.
But yeah, looking again in comments, depth, John Fry, spot on. Yeah. But it's got to be the right players again. There's no point in wasting what little money we have. Nat's saying
experience as well. Yeah, I was about to say that. Beth England not leaving apparently.
That's all right then. So that's fine. Go for the year after.
Even on a loan, I think that's part of the Beth Mead comment. Not leaving even on a loan.
That's fine. She can go on loan to Everton or something, pal. Go elsewhere. We've got better players already.
And John Foster will take Kennedy as well after yesterday's.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I say, sort of listening, I only caught little bits of yesterday's show, and I heard Ben speak very well on Alana, and obviously he's a big fan of his Aussie players, and he's good at that league. Knowing the sort of the Aussie league, that's his sort of his. Should we call it his expertise? So, like I say, versatile, I think should be, I agreed. He mentioned about playing her at the back, and I think spot on. I would. Spurs, like I say, played a sort of centre mid or defensive mid, which she can do. But I think her alongside Millie Turner, for me, would be, excellent, really, really good. So, yeah, I mean, like I say, further forward, I'd be looking to, bring in a few as well. But it's one of them, we talked about this, haven't we, sort of where we need to strengthen. But yeah, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on Beth Mead, if you've seen her, if you've watched her for England or anything.
Yeah, but I'm not really fussed about Beth Mead, mate. I want the best in class, whatever we could get. I don't know. I'm expecting people to lynch me, mate, but
that's fine.
I'd rather save our money, you know what I mean? I will come back to transfer gossip anyway at the end, more transfer gossip people. But I just wanted to come back to this one from Stu. Stu's been waiting patiently here.
Yeah.
And this brings me on to the next topic anyway, about who is the best in class manager that is free at the moment. I put on there Maria Pry, I hope I pronounced that right, or Jill Ellis. I know Jill Ellis might have some sort of a role in America somewhere at the minute. Those two are the names that keep propping up every time on social media. They're the two popular ones. I know there's been other managers mentioned as well, 3 or 4 other ones, but these are the two names that keep propping up with quite a common as a common answer. I don't know if you favour either one of them, or you still looking to be patient and seeing who else might be available, or who else we can maybe pry out of a club.
I mean, listen, I don't know if anybody remembers. You might remember. I chucked out. I think the day Casey resigned, or the day after, I chucked out and said Jill Ellis. And some people aren't a fan. Some people say that she doesn't treat players very well, and players have spoken out against her sort of management. But I think it's one of them. At the end of the day, she's a winner. She's won stuff. She's played in the big occasions, the finals. So yeah, I think, listen, if that's an option, because there was some absolute waffle tweeted by some clown the other day about, she's had an interview and this and that, absolute nonsense. Claimed to be in the know and then backtracked on it. So that gave me a bit of a chuckle. But listen, if Jill Ellis is willing, then, definitely got to be in with the shout. I think it'd be stupid not to interview her, whilst the chances are, that we need to do the interviews and things. I think if we don't get Jill, I'm torn on Maria Pry. I think she's done an excellent job with Levante, really well, limited budget, coached some great young players, had a great season, made cup final in Spain. But I think it's one of them, does she maybe need a little bit more experience? Because I think this is her second job. I think she was at Sevilla prior to this. So, I think because we are not in season 1 anymore and we can't sort of be gambling, I do kind of have a little bit of a reservation on that. Listen, if she comes in, I'm not going to be disappointed, far from it. Just a little bit like, how's it going to go? Could go either way, to be fair. But I think Jill Ellis would be my number one shout, like I said, as I tweeted at the time. Maria Pry won't be disappointed. Obviously, Gerard's taking up another job, isn't he?
That's why I left his name out.
Yeah, the other mention was Rita Guarino, who's at Juventus, as a sort of managerial choice. But I think, again, I'm not massively sold. I mean, I ain't being funny. I've seen that Serie A. Mate, it's like watching paint dry. It's dreadful. So, I wouldn't sort of go for her just obviously based on that, but I just think, it's easy or easier to be good in a sort of what you would call it, like a lesser league. For me, that'd be the equivalent of like the Championship, maybe. So yeah, I don't think Rita for me would be the choice. I think, like I say, Jill Ellis, Maria Pry as well. I know there was, or I saw a couple of tweets linking the PSG manager who's leaving, Olivier, and I can't even pronounce his last name, something beginning with E. Again, just won the league with PSG yesterday. Could he be, willing to come over? Possibly. Has he got something else lined up? Do you know what? Honestly, don't know. But he's been there. Obviously, he's played. He's been a player in the men's game. Been at PSG for, I think this will be his second or third season, I think. So it might be that we look to him. Who knows? And again, PSG have been quality this year, outshone Lyon. So it might be that we move for him. It will be interesting, but I think, between him, Maria Pry, and Jill Ellis, for me, I think those are three that we should potentially take as our top 3 candidates, unless something drastic happens and somebody else pops up. But off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone, pal.
You really don't like people from Juventus. I've noticed this.
It's just the Italian league, mate. I just don't rate it at all.
One too many magnets.
Listen. When your captain goes over there and has an outstanding season, and people want a gone from United, mate, it's time to chill on the Italian league.
Is this the manager, by the way, the PSG manager you're on about? Is this the one that just won the league with PSG? Yeah,
so just one, like I say, it's Olivier, and it's something like I don't know, Echo Nucci or FN, something like that. Yeah. No, mate, I honestly can't pronounce it. But yeah,
I just wanted to make sure it was that manager. It's just won the league and he's not left before.
Yeah,
they won the league,
no. Yeah, so they won the league yesterday. Like I say, and Lyon have won it for the past 14 seasons. And PSG have just won the league yesterday. Played Dijon. So yeah, done well, done all right there. Obviously, like I say, I think this is his 3rd season. I'm sure he was there in about 2018, roughly. He started when Casey did. But like I say, they've sort of, over the past 3 seasons, they've come on slowly but surely. He's built them up. Like I say, a couple of seasons ago, his first season there, PSG were okay. They were nothing special, but now he's sort of got them, competing with the likes of Lyon and for trophies and things like that. Did it go to the last game of the season? Yeah, I think PSG might needed a point. I can't remember. It went to the last game. I think they needed something. PSG, I'm sure it was a point. Could be wrong, but they got what they needed anyway and won the league. This is how we need to approach games. I don't know if you've seen that, Ben. There's all
the ultras, mate. Yeah,
PSG ultras. Yeah, they are a very good set.
Yeah, they're the best. They're the best, to be fair. They are the best.
Yeah, I'd agree. Really, really good. Very entertaining. Support the team very, very well. I'd love to play them pre-season one day. If it allows, just get over to Paris. Probably next summer would be good. And test ourselves against them. But they, like I say, they've sort of improved from. Like I say, I don't watch too many French games, but From what I've seen of them past sort of, like I say, 2-3 seasons, they've come on leaps and bounds. And yeah, it's just it's good to see, because at the end of the day, you don't want to see the same teams keep dominating the league. It just gets boring. And Leon have won it for 14 years up until now. So it's like I say, it's just good to have that dominance broke, because it does show that whilst for me they're still the world's best team, they're not invisible. And they can still lose basically, or lose games, lose titles. So yeah.
Is this the end of the great Leon side then, do you think? Or do you think they're going to rebuild for next season and go again?
No. Listen, they're obviously loaning a couple of players out to go to Olympic reign, but listen, they can still... They've got some good young players in that squad. They really have. They're still going to chuck money at it. I mentioned to you about under that Gerard Preacher that they work on a budget of sort of 8 to 10 million. I'm pretty sure they'll be chucking money whichever way possible that they can. They'll definitely want to compete, because I think now they have to go for, I think, some sort of qualifying, because obviously Champions League changes this year. I think top spot PSG qualify, and I'm pretty sure Leon have to go through something or other, like to qualify for it, basically, which is sort of unknown for them, unknown territory. But listen, like I say, great young players. You look at, the likes of Katarina Macario, very good player. Somebody that they got not too long ago. Melvine Mallard, again, I don't know if you remember, we saw her at the under-19 Euros. I think she finished top scorer for France. Very good young up-and-coming player. So they will be making signings. They'll be bringing people in. Obviously, there's a couple, Komagai going's a big loss, and there's a few sort of being, loaned out to America. But I think, listen, I read the other day, they were, I think, close to signing Endler from PSG. And people say she's the best in the world. So if you look at it from that point of view, they're still pulling up trees. They're obviously laying out big money for transfer and wages on her. So listen, yeah, it's not the end of Leon, but I think they'll take a lot from sort of this season to learn and sort of, take them forward. But yeah.
But 8 to 10 million is what they spend a season on their women's side.
Not every season.
Well, not every season, but if you think 8 to 10 million, and what do we splash out a season in the men's transfer window? 100 million sometimes, 150 million.
Yeah,
and we can't spare 5 to 10 million a season for the women's side. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? When you're quoting numbers like that for Leon, who arguably, apart from this season where they've had a bit of a lull, arguably the best team in the world.
I mean, to be fair, that does include wages, because you've got your likes of Hagerberg on something like 380,000 euros a year. So, it does include wages, but that's what they reckon. Like I say, that Gerard guy said he did work on sort of 8 to 10 million budget, including wages, transfers, bonuses. That's roughly what it costs them per year. So what do we spend? So at the start in season 1, we chucked 5 million, and that was for players, coaching staff, facilities, bonuses, whatever else we needed. We started off with 5 million to get it up and running. Since then, I don't know. It's definitely not been 5 million every season, put it that way. But it did. It started off, which, to be fair, in the championship, 5 million was decent, and then it's kind of slowly been starved. Season 2, season 3, and so on. We look to spend 50k in the women's. Yeah, I think we wasted. See, this was the thing for me. This is why we need to be careful this year, because we got 40k for Alex Greenwood up front. And we wasted, I think it was like 18k on Aurora Mickelson, which was a waste. And then 27k on Lotta Rockvist, that was a shambles as well. And all of a sudden, your money's gone. And okay, we got a little bit in terms of like bonuses, from like her winning the Champions League and trophies and things. But, we can't afford to sort of chuck money away and waste it, especially when the club aren't putting their hands in the pockets.
Absolutely, mate. I just go back to that PSG ultras. They're the same ultras that tore up Old Trafford. The same ultras that go to
fair
the
play.
game.
They put the same energy into both teams.
I've seen some of it. I can't remember was it on Netflix or Amazon? Something to do with PSG's ultras or something, and it does show them on that show actually rocking up to I think it was at a train station or something to greet the PSG side back from the Champions League, and all the flares are going off at the train station, the smoke, it was absolutely fantastic, man,
Yeah.
Anyway, what was Stu? I'm going a bit off topic. Sorry, what Stu? That's crazy low. We just
No,
spent
it's fine. He
paying
makes a good point.
4 minutes to sit on his ass all year, which is true.
This is it. This is
true,
it. You know, there's Romero. You know, Phil Jones. Yeah, I mean, listen, we could rack off lists, couldn't we, lad? But this is the craziness about it, is that, you know, even the reserve players will be earning a decent wedge from us. If we go off a year, because obviously, you know, we pretty much know the weekly, but even at a year, you know, some of our reserves in the men's side earn tons more than the women, and we can't even chuck a little bit towards a manager, say 300-400k to make some decent quality signings. You know, it's ridiculous.
Here's one for you. We know we're going to have a new manager be brought in either this transfer window or the very next transfer window, which will probably be whoever the new manager is, their first proper transfer window. Do you expect us to chuck like we do with the men's team? Do you expect us to chuck a little bit more cash out? You know, just because it'll be their first proper transfer window, like we do. We always sit to do that for the men's side. You know, the very first transfer window of the new manager's reign. We always chuck out that little bit of extra money. Do you think we may chuck a little bit more out there?
I think probably, yeah. I think, you know, we sort of, you've got to, I think they do it to sort of set the tone, don't they? Because obviously in interview, they'll probably promise quite a lot and probably deliver very little. So I think it's always, you know, I mean, we chucked out money on Van der Beek, didn't we? Quite a bit, to be fair. So again, you know, I think having come out now, sort of Joe Glazer / John Murtough with these statements, you know, about funding and increasing and improving things, I think we've no choice but to, you know. So we might, you know, chuck a little bit more, so to speak, in window one, which should be this summer. But, you know, again, who knows? It's Man United. I'd like to think, you know, like I say, if we can chuck some and get some, like I say, 5-6 quality players, and then, you know, 3 or 4 up and coming, and that'd be great. Won't we get cash injections back? Yes, but I don't know how that works, because I don't know, is that staggered across the season? I don't even know if it's like the men's, because obviously it's a new thing. I don't know whether that's like lump sum in summer, staggered across the season, or given at the end. I genuinely don't know. But I think that worked out. We did some maths. I can't remember, because there was a percentage to all WSL clubs, and then championship clubs got a percentage as well. I think it was like an 80-20 split, or 70-30. I think I worked it out that each WSL club should get about $500,000, which is okay. It's pretty good going, that, for the women's game. That's, you know, especially if you're lower down, you're a West Ham, or who else is down there now, Brighton or something. You know, that's a decent wedge of money. Obviously, you know, there's running costs and things involved, but like I say, I don't. Obviously, there is money coming in, but again, you know, is that going to be pocketed by our club? Most likely. Should be reinvested, but again, you know, it's catch-22, isn't it? But like I say, I genuinely don't know enough about that, other than the amount that we get. Like I say, how it's paid. I would have thought installments. You know, I'd be surprised if they chucked it, you know, Sky all at once, but they may do. But I think for me, it'd probably be, you know, installs. If we put in 1.5, that'd be ideal. Yeah, that'd be perfect. I think, because if we did get it up front, that gives you sort of 2 million to play with, doesn't it? And I know in the past, you know, when we come up from the championship, there's been deals that we missed out on because we weren't willing to match wages other clubs paid. You know, players are wanting to come and the club wouldn't stump up the money for the contracts. Now, talking about wanting to be competitive in Champions League, you've got to take the gamble and invest. That's the only way. You know, we narrowly missed out, and myself and Robert had a conversation on this, you know, because there was a couple of Arsenal fans, as per, piping up. And they were on about Champions League, and they were like, oh, we're nowhere near. And I'm like, well, hang on a sec. Oh, a half-fit squad full of Crocs finished a point, or let's call it 2, because of goal difference, a couple of points behind, you know. So you think, well, okay, we're not using injuries as excuses, but if we had a couple of decent players that we had outfit, we get 3rd place. So, you know, imagine the investment if we had the depth, you know. So 2 million make a massive difference. You know, the women's game, in terms of finances and transfers, you know, there's a lot of free transfers because there isn't the finance to keep it sustained, and men's clubs take a big hit on the losses due to that. But, you know, having that money even for throwing it at contracts, even if we're getting players on a free, you know, getting the best of those free agents and chucking money at the wages or the bonuses and the signing on fees would make a hell of a difference. Glazer never would. No, invest. No, this is what I'm saying, John. This is why I think some of that TV or most of that TV deal will be pocketed. Because, like he says,
I agree.
You don't know what investment is. But listen, it's hard because you can't say what they're going to do. Like me and you have said, and others have said, it's actions over words. We can sit here and discuss, finances and ins and outs. But at the end of the day, if it's not being put in, we can be sitting here in dreamland saying, I want this player, I want that player, I want this amount of budget, and this manager and these players. But we're just the little minions that chuck the money at them.
Absolutely. I want to go on to transfer gossip in a second, but I'm just thinking there when Stu was on about the TV deal and everything. Wouldn't it be amazing if Sky Sports did like a transfer deadline day for the women's?
You know what? There is. They did something. I think it was back in January. That Anton guy, I've forgotten his last name. There's a guy that works at Sky that's called Anton something, and he's like the women's football correspondent. And they did do a little bit. He has like a massive screen sort of in the background studio. And he did do a little bit. And obviously that's where we got the idea from, because I fronted one for obviously this channel, and John got me sort of into that as my first ever live show that I hosted back in Jan. So I think you will see probably a better sort of coverage of deadline day. And listen, it wasn't like, the men's where they're outside training grounds and you say, oh, such a body's in his car or such a body's flying over. But it was good enough. It was a start. There's, oh, this player's signed here and this player's left here. But you never tend to in the women's game get rumours. It tends to be pretty much done under wraps, and very quiet. But there's nothing wrong with, now players are out of contract and there's a bit of movement. There's nothing wrong with saying, I want this player or this player might go here or what do you think of this? It creates sort of, topic and interest. Thanks, John. Did a great job. Got to admit, the nerves were there for that first one. I've slowly got used to it now, sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. But again, it's just discussion, because what was great about that was we got everybody involved. Fans from other clubs came on and chatted about it, and that's great that we sort of started that. If Sky can do something like that and get people talking, then it's only going to be good. It's like we talked about transfers before, people jumping in the comments with their different opinions, and it's great because it gets that discussion and it promotes the game. We could sit here, and if people didn't tune in, give their opinions, there'd be no show. Do you know what I mean? So if we can get that going in terms of Sky Sports and online and get people talking, whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether you've got a different opinion, just put stuff out there. At the end of the day, we're all promoting the game we love and the club we love. It doesn't matter that people say one thing and some say another, and we can all banter rival fans and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's growing the game. Like John Fry says, it adds to the excitement of the gossip. I think it's great because it's funny, because during the season, we all have meltdowns over team news. In the off-season, everybody has meltdowns on transfer. So I absolutely love it. It's brilliant. It really is.
I don't speak about transfers, mate. Have you heard any new gossip on any potentially new signings or any players that are being sort of grabbed sort of on social media that people are saying, oh, could be a United player. This one's because you always get some expert on Twitter saying, oh, this one's nailed on. And I'm waiting still 10 years later for this Wesley Sneijder that someone promised me was nailed on to sign for United. That's why
I said Wesley.
Yeah, but that's why I'm not a big person about transfer window. The only time I ever get excited is when a player signs, still delivered, holding up the shirt next to John Murtough or the new manager or whatever. Have you heard any new names in the pipeline that we may not have come across, or is it just the same names propping up?
It's pretty much the same, and it's pretty much the same discussion around sort of the same 3 or 4 players. It's just funny. Can't have the same opinion. This is it. I think the thing with the women's game is it's changing because you never got the rumours, and we were always told, as United fans, everybody always said, oh, you can't talk about this. It's disrespectful. You can't talk about that. And I think, personally, it's a lot of crap. People are entitled to say who they want for the team or who they want in and who they want out, And I think you're seeing that change now from sort of 3-4 years ago. You are seeing a big change within transfers and things like that.
not sure if Matt's Wi-Fi is gone. Seems to have frozen up again. To be fair, he's got through 45 minutes without it freezing up, which is good. Let's see if he's back again. You're back now, pal.
Back now, pal. Yeah, you're right. I've got through 45 minutes without it freezing. Yeah, I was saying, rumours and gossip now is sort of becoming part of the game. People saying they don't like it, but for me, I think it adds to it. It's tough. If people think it's disrespectful, fine, don't talk about it. But it's an ever-changing game. It's an ever-growing game. But yeah, go back to your original question, lad, because I've completely forgot. I'm reading comments.
I can't remember what I asked, pal. But what I'm going to ask is this one from Stu Woolley here. What the women's game need is somebody like Night Producer, dedicated match ball, dedicated women's merchandise, or is that already the case? Now, United have started doing the dedicated women's merchandise a little bit. Because now what we didn't have before, but I noticed, I think, was it halfway through the season? I think it might have been halfway through the season, is that on United's website, on the shop, you can now get the patch, the women's FA Super League WSL patch. We never used to be able to get that. You could only get that from Old Trafford, from the Megastore at one point. And then that took Natalie to fuss over that for ages as well, asking people that she knew work at the Megastore to get them in. But it's starting to change now. On a match ball, I'm not 100% sure. It's Mitre in it? Is it Mitre they use?
Well, they changed it this year now. It's going to Puma.
Oh, it's going to Puma like the men's championship and that then, yeah. Oh, I didn't know
I think
that.
so. Like I say, I think that is the women's ball Mitre now currently, or is it something else?
I'm pretty sure it's Mitre, isn't it? Which echoes the
right. Well, I don't know then. I don't know then, but I like I said, I'd read that it was going to Puma, so I'm assuming the women's will follow suit, and go to Puma, itself. But who knows, lad. But in terms of merch, like you say, I think season 1 was not great. I think the only thing we got in season 1 was at the end of the season when we won the league, we got the scarf, didn't we, with all the names on, which was brilliant. Grabbed myself one of them.
Even though they missed one name out.
Yeah, they still cocked it up. But listen, they tried. We'll give them a medal for trying, lad, because it was better than nothing. But no, I think, they do need more. I mean, listen, I've not set foot in that Megastore for ages, to be honest. But I think, if they do more merch, brilliant. The patches we got last year, like you said, season 1, trying to get a championship patch, mate. Bloody hell. It was like trying to get gold dust. And it shouldn't be the case. And I know, at one point they ran out of patches, then they ran out of lettering and numbers, because obviously we had the cup font, didn't we? And everybody wanted the printing. And then they ran out of it because they didn't expect it. So it's a slow
on that printing.
Process,
sorry, mate. On the printing, you can only get on the home shirt. Remember, you can only print on the home shirt as well for that cup printing. I was like, only on the home shirt because we don't have the different colours for the away shirt or whatever it were. If you remember,
yeah, we did actually. Yeah, we had the pink. Was that the away or the third? Yeah, the pink away shirt, which was black letters, I think. Or white, and then we had the blue third shirt, didn't we? And I think it was them letterings, they were gold, weren't they? Which again was a different font, but it was crazy. But I'd like to think, like I say, they will sort of progress with the times and add to it. And the comment there, I can't get signed pictures like you can of the men at the Megastore. I mean, to be fair on that, I mean, it depends where you live, because it's easy for us to say because we don't live too far from the ground. But if you can get to a game, all the players are more than reasonable before and after a game to sort of get things signed. If people want that sort of thing, our players are very, very good with fans. So I think in terms of buying one, I mean, you could buy one if you wanted to. I don't know how you go about that if they're not on sale, but after every game, there's a good chunk of players come over to meet the fans at the side of the pitch, which for me is fantastic. You'll never get that in the men's game. You'll be outside Old Trafford like a sardine fighting your way to get something signed. But I think, like I said, if you can get to games, like I said, I don't know where obviously Vincent lives, but maybe somebody can help him out with that, program or whatever. But it's good because at least the players give the time. I will back them on that. Whether they do put them to the megastore, I don't know. I suppose that's something that fans could put to the club if people wanted to buy something. But yeah, I think, I'd like to think increased merch, whether I think they've only just added the women to the annual, haven't they? The yearly kiddies annual book thing.
Yeah.
They've added a women's section to that, and they didn't previously. So again, it's little bits, but they slowly go a long way into making it, half decent. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Another thing about the women's is that I wonder if that's why we started using our cup font again. From last season. Obviously, the season before, when it got curtain-tailed through the coronavirus, we did have that WSL cup print, didn't we? And then this is we're back to the to that print, our cup print. So I wonder if that's why they've got all the lettering, the right colours, and everything. So,
do you know what though? I like the WSL font.
Yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? It was all right. I got that one on that. I think that shirts.
Because that one behind you, that Fernandez one, I'm just not a fan of the font. With like the daft pointy bits at the end. It's for me personally, it's not for me. But I think the WSL font is really nice, and the numbering, but we don't seem to use it for whatever reason. But who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, let's just hope that Manchester United keep on increasing merchandise for the women's side, and as Vincent said, that if that's something that that people want, like as used that example there about signed pictures at the megastore, surely they could do that. I know Leeds Sports Village as well. They come with a pop-up store, and that has a few items dedicated to the women's side. Very few, though, to be fair. But I just hope the club keep on pushing that year upon year. Go on, mate.
I think on that, though, I think if it was me, I would be emailing the club. It's worth just putting your opinion across, because at the end of the day, you might not be the only person, wanting that. So I think, email the club and ask the question, because there's no harm in giving them feedback. I think, again, it just adds to, us as fans telling the club what we'd like to see. So, if it's not there, I'd ask anyway. I really would. People in the past have emailed about things, and whether that's been merch or whether it's been why is this not broadcast, or most of the time they do reply. Sometimes they just fob you off and say we'll look into it, or we're not looking into it at this current time. But listen, at least you've put your opinion across. So it's always worth like I say, emailing or ring them up, whichever you want to do, and sort of put your view and put your point across. And listen, it might happen, and then fantastic. You've done something to sort of make a difference. But always worth asking the question, 100%.
Absolutely, and of course, just time's running on, Matt. So I'm going to let you tell the people what we've got planned over the next few days, pal.
Yeah, so actually tomorrow we're doing a live, aren't we? We're on location, having a bit of a afternoon at Hotel Football for a meal. And then 3:15 tomorrow, we're going live. We're talking about growth over the last 3 years. So the growth of the club on the pitch, off the pitch, the global interest abroad, because I've noticed it's growing abroad as well. So yeah, tomorrow 3:15, we will tweet out the links for that. Monday, John is back with yourself and Natalie, and Simon, who we've had on in the past. He was the Jamaican journalist, and again, he sort of transfer issue. Drinks on Matt, drinks are on Ben for his swear box.
Now my swear box is waiting for Christmas, isn't it?
Oh no, summer party
now. By the way, that's
but
changed,
yeah,
right?
so like I say, yeah. So Monday, John's back. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, as you say,
Monday John's back. Tuesday, Tuesday's my show, 8 p.m. Thursday as well, and Friday, Yeah, just as normal, really, but with the added bonus of tomorrow's live, and obviously the schedule will go up. We'll take schedule. What's Vincent saying? He sent a letter. Oh, I sent a letter if it's in writing. Take it more serious. Yeah, fair play, mate. You know, we always talk about having a voice, don't we, as fans? It's massively important that you sort of, I say, give feedback and your thoughts and have a voice, and don't be afraid. You know, if people don't agree, cool. You know, don't take it personally, but 100% have a voice, and, you know, well done for writing in. I think for me that's brilliant. That's what we want. But schedule, like I say, schedule put out tomorrow. We'll do some links. Obviously, if anybody's missed this week's show, the shows this week, not just this show. But yeah, like I say, always busy, lots coming up. Fingers crossed we're going to have, like I say, with transfer window opening, a little bit of incoming and outgoing news. The outgoings are done. It's just a case of when they release them. And yeah, we'll see what we get over the next sort of coming weeks.
Absolutely. One final question, Matt. I don't know if I've asked this before. If I have, I do apologise.
Go on.
What if you could sign one player this summer, just one player, just one player that would be your ideal dream signing this summer, who would it be and why?
Do you know what? They all keep disappearing and signing new contracts. One. Do you know what? You might have asked me this, and now I'm gonna be thinking who on earth I said last time, which is gonna get me in trouble because somebody will be bloody screenshotting these. One player. Do you know what? I'm going to get absolutely mullered if I say Paris. So do you know what? I'm going to keep on my Alana Kennedy hype. I was saying that, like I said, I was saying that in December, thinking that we could get her in Jan. And you know what? She's versatile, so that's why, you know, she's gonna, if she comes in, if we can get her, she's going to massively strengthen the defense. John saying striker. I agree. We do.
John, striker's not a name of a player, though, pal.
No, true. But we do need goals massively. I'm sticking. I can't think of other than Paris, and nobody seems to be on that bandwagon as such, other than Rob and Gareth and possibly you. But no, I'm going to say Alana, and the reason is she can play centre back, she can be back up for Haley, and she can potentially play centre mid. I know everybody's a fan of Bo Reeser at the minute, and, you know, again, would be quality. But yeah, see, a goal scoring. See, I can't think of one off the top of my head. So you put the pressure on now, Ben, and it's got to my head. I'm collapsing like some of the players do. So I'm sticking with my
first time though, Matt. First time.
I'm sticking with my Alana hype because Paris gets me too much aggro, lad. It really does. So I'm sticking with Paris because I don't think we're going to get Bunny Shaw now. I think that ship sailed when we didn't get Champions League. And even Navarro is quality, but not somebody that's going to, well, I mean, she's injured, but not somebody that's going to come in and score a load of goals. John saying Beth England, I think, again, I'd love that, but I really don't think Chelsea want to let her go. You know, Emma Hayes has constantly knocked it back. So that's why it put me on the spot, because I was avoiding the likes of England and Shaw. But no, sticking with Alana, I've been banging the drum since December. And like I say, would not go wrong with that. I think she'd be absolutely quality for us. Very good player. So yeah, I'm going Kennedy. Have you got one? I'm going to put you back on the spot now. And don't say Beth Mead or Sharla.
Mate,
no, I'm joking. Say you want, pal.
Mate, you know me and transfer. You know me and transfer gossip, pal. You know I fucking hate it. We're linked with about 50 billion players, just like the men's team.
Well, it's either forward or defender, lad, pretty much, unless you've got a backup goalkeeper in mind.
Backup goalkeeper. I ain't got anybody in mind, mate, to be fair. I'm not as clued up as you. If it ain't United, it ain't worth knowing. You know, that's my excuse for stuff when I don't know stuff. But, mate, I'd take anyone that's got a bit of class to him, you know, even if it's a hidden gem from somewhere in Europe. I like the bit of the unknown quantity, you know, that come in and like owner has this season and properly taken to it, you know. Just get its last comment before I wrap it up. Ben Winnie is someone who's going to get us a goal at challenge Ben to shave his beard off again. This beard ain't getting shaved off again, mate. Do you
know what? Do you remember a fit Russo? Yeah, I agree with that, John. In terms of that, you know, I mentioned to you, I don't know if you remembered, after the Martha challenge about dyeing it half red, half white.
Oh, yeah.
You should dye your beard half and half, and then split your hair in half and do half white and half red to match your beard. And I think that'll be a laugh. Just look funny. That's the idea. Listen, Anthony's painted his face, mates. You can't get much worse.
Oh, bloody Anthony. I forgot about him. What are we still watching? Anyway, I'm going to wrap up there. So I've got over an hour. Thank you, everyone, for joining in the comments, as always. And thank you for everybody who's tuning in to watch. We will be back next week. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Stu, as always. And
catch some of you tomorrow at 3:15.
Golden Green, Ben. Golden Green. Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, all that.
My hair, right, Golden Green. I'm ginger. Anyway, we'll catch everybody tomorrow for the live. And have a good rest of your Saturday night, folks. And we'll see you next week on this show.
See you later.